Hi and welcome to Happy Kitty Kitchen. Today I'm making liquid and solid beef stock because I don't like buying beef stock or bouillon cubes anymore. I like knowing exactly what goes in my food, and I do this every 3 or 4 months. It's not really that much work and effort, and I always have them in my freezer for whenever I need them, and I never really have ran out of it. So if you want to stop buying stock and make your own, follow along. In a hot, deep pan or pot, better yet, pressure cooker, if you have one, add in the beef cubes. We want to start by browning them first because the brown bits are good flavors. You can use any beef cuts you want. The cheaper, tougher cuts of meat are good to use for this, in my opinion, because at the end of this process, they will have softened and would be great to use as shredded meat. If you've got meat with bones, that is even better because you would get a more nutritious beef broth that has all that good natural gelatin in there. Now, back to the process. I'm going to deglaze with a bit of water to unstick the pieces of meat from the pan and avoid them burning. I just want them browning, not burning. Then I'm going to go in with the vegetables and continue a bit of deglazing. One thing I want to make a note of about which vegetables to put in your beef stock, I would say that the most essential ones are onions, garlic, and carrots. Not even carrots, just onions and garlic. But if you've got celery, definitely add those in. And then I'm going to cover and let everything sweat for about 2 to 5 minutes. Let the vegetables release their water while I prep other spices to include in there. Of course, starting with salt, just quickly adding water here because I was running low and afraid things would burn. Then I'm adding in bay leaves, cinnamon stick, black peppercorns, and allspice and fennel seeds. The salt, bay leaves, cinnamon stick, and black peppercorns are essential in my opinion. You cannot skip them, but everything else is okay. Immerse everything in water, then give it a taste, even though we're not done, but just check the salt levels and it's always good to taste as you go. Cover the pan and lower the heat to a high simmer, not a boil, and leave it for a minimum of 1 hour and a half. Now, obviously, the time is going to be different if you do it in a pressure cooker, but still, I would also say 45 minutes to an hour in a pressure cooker would yield great results. But if you're not doing it in a pressure cooker, minimum of 1 hour and a half or 2 hours in a pan or a pot, like I did. Anyway, everything has sort of softened, cooked through, the flavors have been extracted. I gave it a taste. It tasted incredible. So I'm ready to start finalizing and processing this broth, the stock. That's why I'm taking out the chunks of beef and separating them. I'm just cutting off the fat and returning it back into the pan because I don't want the fat with the beef. I kind of want the fat more in my vegetable stock, my beef stock, I mean. That's completely up to you if you don't want to do it the same. Then I'm going to transfer the veggie pieces into a blender, but be careful here when you put the herbs with stalks in the blender because the fibers could spin around the blades and make the blender stick, exhausting the blender and causing it to burn out the motor. So I speak from experience, just cut those stalks shorter by knife first, or you don't have to blend them at all if you don't want to. Also, bay leaves and cinnamon sticks do not blend finely and they will always have that rough texture. So remove those completely and discard. To the vegetables in the blender, I do add a bit of the stock liquid so it can blend smoothly and until I have the consistency that I want, which is sort of paste-like. Don't forget to taste this paste. If you feel like it's not salty enough, add more salt. Or if you feel like there's too much flavor and too salty, you can add in a little more water and blend again. Then I'm using this chocolate mold tray that I have to shape them. You can use ice cube trays. It doesn't matter what you use. It just whatever can give you a convenient portion and shape. For the liquid part of the stock, I am just filtering out any tiny specks and bits, and then I'm going to pour them in a water bottle that I have, making sure that I leave space at the very top and not fill it all the way, because as it freezes, it will expand. And I also make sure that I label this because I do have other types of stock in my freezer. I have chicken stock and vegetable stock, so I don't want to confuse all those three when I have a certain recipe to make. So those white specks you see in the liquid at the end here, Don't be afraid of that. That's just the beef fat. After I blended it, it kind of dispersed. You can filter it out using a fine sieve or a cloth if you don't like it and you don't want it, but I want it. That is flavor and that is nutrients, and I'm keeping it. So I'll throw everything in the freezer for 3 hours or just until everything is solid. Then I'm going to take them out of their molds and put them in an airtight container, or better yet, an air vacuumed bag to save room in the freezer and store them longer and better. I just wanted to show you how I store my other types of cubes. I have cream of mushroom cubes here that I made earlier, and I'm just showing you how I store them, which is exactly how I'm going to be storing the beef stock cubes. Being organized in the kitchen and storing these types of essentials and staples in your freezer helps advance and elevate your cooking. But not only that, it helps save you money and time because you get to cook better, richer, more flavorful food much faster when you have these shortcuts around. The more times that you make your own stock, the more you learn how you can edit the ingredients to suit your taste. I hope this video has been useful to you and has inspired you to start making your own stocks at home and become a more organized cook. And if you've made it this far into the video, as usual, thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.